Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. As this is likely to be the last of the full-length videos today, might be a few flashes later, I would ask at this point to make sure you do hit the subscribe button, or if you are already subscribed, please check you're still subscribed. YouTube are still doing that bouncing thing where they unsubscribe you randomly. But you have your part to play in helping to spread the news by subscribing. It really massively helps the channel. Now, because it's the last one of the day of these full ones, I would like to end on something nice, something shiny, something that puts a smile on our face. And what is better than the continued civil war within the SNP? Now, Kate Forbes has marvellously come out and attacked Humza Yousaf again. And it is becoming very regular now. It seems she's marshalling her forces and will soon lay in and make that charge for the leadership. As time goes on, you see more and more of it, and we have one today, and it's quite a nice read. So we'll go in and we'll do just that to see what Kate has to say. Here goes. So SNP in fresh civil war as Kate Forbes attacks Humza Yousaf's counterproductive tax hikes. Isn't that a great headline? We do love to see Kate Forbes attacks Humza Yousaf, because we know it weakens his position massively. Her position is growing day by day because people keep seeing exactly what he is. And especially after this COVID inquiry, when it comes out that the man is ignorant, stupid, makes the wrong decisions, relies on the wrong people, it just goes to show that the people in the SNP who voted for him to be leader are now kind of going, oh, and it's buyer's remorse. They don't like it. They know they've chosen wrongly. They know it's too soon, perhaps, for them to change their minds. They think that'll weaken the party. But as they go on, more and more of them, and especially the backbenchers, see their jobs disappearing at the next election. That's at Westminster. The backbenchers in Holyrood, likely, also. TikTok, time goes on. They're seeing all this drift away from the SNP. They know they too may well be on the dole queue come that Friday morning, whenever it will be. And so they are murmuring, and Kate is pushing, and she is gathering. It's just one of those little things where they drift away from Humza, they move to Kate because they see Kate as the only way that they can possibly save the SNP. And it is wonderful to watch. Anyway, the pair faced off to be named the First Minister, and Kate Forbes has now launched an attack on Humza Yousaf with a dig about his constant changes of mind. And that is assuming that he's actually got a mind worth changing. We all know, from the last video, we all know it's fairly empty up there. Humza Yousaf faces a new rebellion. It's all the time, isn't it? From within his own party over his damaging plans to hike income tax. Former SNP Finance Secretary Kate Forbes has launched a blistering attack on the tax increases, which are set to come into effect in April, and branding them counterproductive. As everybody says, as everybody who's got a brain knows, people will change their ways. They will either move south, they will move their addresses south, they will move their businesses south, or they will change the way that they address their income, maybe moving some extra into pension, for example, things like this. There are many different ways. They may not pay themselves, but open up a company, may not pay themselves as much in terms of salary, but may take it as dividend, for example, and thus saving a lot of money in terms of income tax that won't be then going to the Scottish Government. Indeed, there are so many different ways in which you can obviate this problem and make adjustments that it will probably end up with the tax take in Scotland reducing. And not just by the amount that it's gone up, but actually by more than what they're attempting to raise it by, because people will be taking this remedial action. Everyone knows that this is what you do. It's the Laffer curve. Anyway, Miss Forbes, who stood against Mr Yousaf for the party leadership, said the tax rises could force people to switch jobs or leave Scotland to avoid the new financial burden. It would also likely stop people coming to Scotland. If you're, say, a doctor and you see that there's a vacancy in, say, I don't pick Arbroath for the want of a place, and you go, oh, right there, and then there's a place in, say, Berwick. Well, why would you go to Arbroath instead of Berwick? because you'd be doing the same job for the same hours for the same money, but you'd be taking home a hell of a lot less in Arbroath than you would in Berwick because of the tax differences. Well, obviously, you're not going to go to Arbroath, are you? And at the end of last year, the First Minister earned the nickname High Tax Humza after unveiling a raft of massive increases. He also earned the name of Thick Humza because that too is true. From April, anyone in Scotland who makes more than $28,850 will pay higher taxes than workers elsewhere in the UK. And in a triple tax whammy announced in December's budget, the new 45 pence income tax band will be introduced on earnings above 75,000, and the top rate on earnings above 125,000 will rise by 1 pence to 48 pence. And then the higher tax threshold will be frozen. And so you get what's called fiscal lag, which drags more and more people into that first upper band. It's very cynical, and it's a way of raising tax, which actually doesn't raise that much tax in terms of the actual shifting of monies. It doesn't actually raise enough, anywhere near enough. But it will cause people to change policy, and it will stop investment, inward investment and talent coming to Scotland. It's almost as though it's deliberate. They know, they must know. I don't expect Shona Robertson to know, because obviously she is incredibly stupid. I mean, she makes Humza Yousaf look like a towering intellect, and we all know he's as thick as one short plank. But even so, you'd have the advisors surely telling them, please God, don't do this. But they've done it anyway, so it must be deliberate. Anyway, someone earning £35,000 salary will pay £61 more in Scotland than the rest of the UK, rising to £442 at £45,000, nearly £1,700 at £55,000, and £2,100 at £75,000. Scottish Conservative Shadow Secretary for Finance and Local Government Liz Smith said, independent experts, business groups and various professional associations, and I'm just going to also say, and anyone with half a brain, you, me, the people who watch this channel outside of the SNP voters who hate watch the channel, but I know you good people are intelligent enough to understand why this is a bad idea. Anyway, they've all criticised the SNP's tax plans, and now a senior member of his own party is the latest to attack Humza Yousaf's dangerous tax and axe budget. Yeah, I mean, when his own party are moaning about it in the form of Kate Forbes, you know it's got to be bad. Anyway, Scotland is already the highest tax part of the UK, we know. The SNP's budget plans would only further widen that gap, and it's going to get worse come the budget, because come March, Hunt is up there and he's likely to reduce the income tax rate by a penny, making everything in Scotland suddenly way, way worse overnight. And they'll somehow find a way of blaming Westminster for that. It's not Westminster's fault, is it? You wanted separate tax raising ability. You've got it. Good luck. Anyway, it sounds like Kate Forbes is now recognising the significant and damaging tax burdens that her government has placed on hard-working Scots. And she should therefore take a stand and vote down the SNP's dangerous budget plans. And there's a theory that she might. Her and her little band of mighty rebels, if they vote it down and all the other parties vote it down, the remainder, the rump SNP and the Greens, don't have enough for that. If the budget is defeated, Shona Robertson would have to resign. Humza Yousaf would probably have to resign. Failing to get a budget through is a resignation matter. Whether he would or not, because he probably lacks the decency to stand down, because it's all about me. So he probably wouldn't. But there'd be words. It would be very difficult, even for him, to try and maintain power if a budget is defeated. And I think Kate could do it. She could force a re-election for leader, stand, and she would win it. Now, not saying she's brilliant, of course, but she is at least different, and she is at least sane. And that's the important thing. Anyway, Miss Forbes has ignited a brewing civil war in the SNP by wading into the row, claiming that pushing up taxes will ultimately shrink public revenue over time, as we all know. Writing in the Highland newspaper, Miss Forbes, the nationalist MSP for Skye, Lochaber and Badenoch, said, yes, almost the same, because you've got, it always confuses me with the two, because obviously you've got Tubby Black's, he's Skye, Lochaber and something else. It's where the two constituencies overlap, and it does always confuse me when I see them because they're not quite the same, are they? They're sort of like that. Anyway, she said continually increasing taxes is ultimately counterproductive over the long term, even if you agree with it ideologically, because ultimately it reduces public revenue. Bada bing. We all know this. We all know. She goes on and just says why it's wrong, but we know why. It's about the tax base changing, people's behaviours changing and things like that. Anyway, if Mr Yousaf's plans are approved by MSPs this year, an eye-watering 69% of earnings between 100 and 125,000 will be siphoned into the income tax and national insurance. So if you're a doctor on that sort of band, why would you put in any extra time and any extra effort knowing that he is about to put his hand in your pocket and steal 70% of what you earn? And that is why this man won't be leader for long, because everyone is finding him out. Everyone is realising now, everyone within his own party is realising now what a moron they truly have as a leader. Marvellous, isn't it? Coming up. Now, I do feel the need to reiterate something here. I just want to make my position clear. I don't want the SNP government at all, but given that they are likely to be there for the next 2.5 years or so, it's important that whoever is in charge is sane and has some grasp in reality. And for all her other faults, Kate Forbes does seem sane and living in the real world. But there we go. She needs to change the view. She has said that now is not the time for independence and there are other things to do. But I also think, given what's going on within the party, she may need to start maybe distancing herself and maybe switch to another party. Who knows? I think she'd do very well elsewhere. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. And for today, on the long form videos I am done. If there are any sort of flashes, keep an eye out for them. But I wish you a very good Sunday evening. We're going to start all this again on a new week tomorrow. Thank you, friends. Goodbye.